Well, good morning. Today, I want to talk about the tyranny of use on utility versus value. Everything has a price, but not everything has worth. In a world obsessed with metrics, algorithms, and bottom lines, we're increasingly losing our capacity to tell what truly matters. We are starving for meaning while drowning in measurement. At the root of this confusion lies a fundamental misalignment between utility and value, between what is useful and what is worthy. The consequences are not just philosophical, they are existential. The age of utility, a world measured but not known. Utility is the logic of tools, output, efficiency. Born of Enlightenment rationalism and refined through industrial capitalism, utility has become our primary lens. It asks, what can this do? What does this perform? This worldview dominates not just economics, but medicine, education, relationships, even healing. A person becomes a unit of productivity. A forest becomes lumber or carbon credits. A child is evaluated not by their wonder, but by their test scores. But utility, as I've argued, is not evil. It's seductive. It feeds, warms, protects. It answers the survival brain. It helps us build and adapt. It promises sufficiency. And we confuse that promise with wholeness. Yet, as you know, an engine can move you forward, but it cannot tell you where to go. The silence and resistance of value. Where utility shouts, value whispers. It refuses measurement. It lives in stories, in memory, in gesture, in grief, in love. A child's laugh, a mother's touch, a book that saved your life. These have no clear function, and yet they are why we go on. You may have heard me point to this many times. When healing becomes a routine, when pills are prescribed by protocol, we forget the human being at the center. Value is not transactional. It's relational. It exists only when we attend to it, listen to it, protect it. To live by value is to resist being reduced to use. The revolutionary, the artist, the mystic, all stand against the world of utility. Not because they offer nothing, but because they offer something else, something sacred. When value is a threat. In a utilitarian world, value becomes dangerous. Why? Because value is not compliant. It is not predictable. A poem can start a revolution. A story can unseat an empire. A human soul, once awakened, is hard to control. You said, the tyrant fears not the sword, but the story. Exactly. That is why regimes burn books, not bricks. Why dissidents are silenced, not because they are inefficient, but because they mean something. And yet, even in democracies, we censor differently. Not through fire, but through noise. Through distraction, overload, algorithmic echo chambers, through reducing life to content, value is smothered in a sea of use. The collapse of meaning, efficient and empty. When utility becomes the only logic, we build systems that function perfectly and feel dead inside. Education becomes a job prep. Therapy becomes a billing code. Medicine becomes throughput. People become brands. As I've said, people aren't missing things, they're missing a why. The result? A pandemic of loneliness, depression, spiritual fatigue. We have everything we need to survive, and yet we are more disconnected, dysregulated, and disoriented than ever. Sufficiency and the return to the real. The antidote isn't to destroy utility. It's to restore its place. Utility is a servant, not a god. When it serves value, it becomes beautiful. a well-made tool, a thoughtful system, a helpful algorithm. These are gifts, but only when they serve human meaning. I've used the word sufficiency with great clarity. Sufficiency is not minimalism. It's resonance, the right thing at the right time, in the right amount. In trauma work, in economics, in breath, in life. This is where Buddhist thought and economics meet. This is where trauma-informed healing and political philosophy merge, not in utopia, but in fit, in honoring what matters, not just what works. A philosophy of re-humanization. I've said I wanted to be a Buddhist philosopher, but I became an economist. I became both because the real task is neither religion nor theory. It is re-humanization, individuation, integration, or wholeness. It is remembering how to estimate worth, not price, but by presence. Not by performance, but by meaning. Like Nietzsche, whose patterns I've lived before I could read, my life became my philosophy, not through consumption, but through convergence, through living with open eyes and a body that felt too much to ignore. What I've long known is that we must teach sufficiency before tragedy, not after, because when the storm comes, it's too late to build a boat. So in conclusion, utility as blade, value as star. Utility builds the machine, value lights the soul. We need both, but we must know the difference. Hold the blade, but follow the star. Let tools serve, let values lead, because in the end, it is not the useful that will save us, but the meaningful. Thank you for your time.